The first time my mother-in-law cried because of my soup, I thought maybe the pepper was too much. The second time, I thought maybe the taste reminded her of someone she had lost. But the third time, I saw the way she looked at me. It was not anger. It was not dislike. It was fear. In my husband's family house, I was trying to be the kind of wife everybody would praise. I woke up early. I greeted properly. I cooked before anyone asked. I swallowed insults in silence because my mother always told me that marriage was not a place for a woman with a loud mouth. But no matter how hard I tried, Mama Rosaline never looked comfortable around me, especially whenever I cooked soup. The moment the aroma entered the sitting room, her face would change. Her hands would begin to shake. Sometimes she would stand up and leave before the food was served. Other times, she would sit quietly, staring at the pot, like something inside it had called her name. Nobody explained it. My husband, Adams, would only say,
Leave Mama.
Leave Mama.
She has her reasons.
She has her reasons. But what kind of reason makes a woman cry whenever her daughter-in-law cooks? What kind of memory hides inside the smell of dried fish, uziza and oha leaves? And why did Mama Rosaline always look at me like I had returned from a grave she personally covered? At first I blamed myself. After my first miscarriage, I thought maybe my body had failed me. After the second, I started praying harder. But after the third, the whispers in that house became louder than my pain. Some said my womb was weak. Some said I had brought sorrow into Adam's family. Some said a woman who could not carry a child had no right to question her elders. Still, Mama Rosaline kept crying whenever I cooked. Not once, not twice, every time. And the more she cried, the more the house became uncomfortable. My husband stopped looking me in the eyes. The servants stopped entering the kitchen whenever I was cooking. Even the neighbors began to whisper whenever smoke rose from our backyard kitchen. Then one afternoon, while the soup was still boiling, Mama Rosaline stood at the kitchen door, held her chest and said something that froze my whole body. She said, "This thing has followed me into my son's house." I turned slowly and asked her, "Mama, what thing?" But she did not answer. She only looked at the pot, then looked at me and began to cry again. My name is Winifred Okafo. Before I became Mrs. Okafo, I was just Winifred, the quiet girl from Enugu who grew up with only one parent and too many unanswered questions. My mother's name was Grace. Grace was not rich. She did not own land. She did not wear expensive clothes or sit with women who announced their husbands' titles before saying their own names. But my mother had something people never forgot: her cooking. People used to say that if my mother cooked or her soup, even a man who had already eaten would sit down again and ask for Gary. Her oziza had a smell that followed you even after you left the compound. She cooked with dried fish, stockfish, palm oil, pepper, and patience. She always told me, "Winifred, food is not just what you put inside pot. Food carries your spirit." I did not understand those words when I was young, but I understood them later. My mother raised me alone. Anytime I asked about my father, her face would change the same way Mama Rosaline's face later changed whenever I cooked. She would smile, but the smile would not reach her eyes. Then she would say, "My daughter, some questions are too heavy for children." I stopped asking, not because I did not want to know, but because I loved her too much to continue opening a wound she was hiding. My mother died when I was 21. She died without telling me my father's name. She died without showing me any photograph. She died with pain in her eyes and one warning on her lips.
Winifred, never beg people to love you. If a house rejects you, leave before the roof falls on your head.
Those were her last words.
I cried until my eyes became swollen. But life does not wait for people who are grieving. After her burial, I moved to Lagos to stay with my mother's distant cousin. I started working in a small fashion shop in Yaba. That was where I met Adams Okafo. He was not like the men who came to the shop to price clothes and ask unnecessary questions. He was calm, respectful, soft-spoken. The first day he came, he bought a native shirt for his father. The second time, he came back and said his mother liked the material. By the fourth visit, he knew my name. By the sixth, he knew I liked malt drinks more than soft drinks. By the 10th, he asked me if I would allow him to take me out after work. I said no the first time, then I said no the second time. By the third time, my friend at the shop, Ifeoma, looked at me and said, "Winifred, if you don't want him, tell him to come and ask me." That was how I laughed and agreed. Adams was the kind of man that made suffering look like something you could survive. He listened when I spoke. He did not mock my background. He did not make me feel poor. When I told him I had no father, he held my hand and said,
"Then my family will become your family."
I believed him. That was my first mistake. Not because Adams was wicked. No, Adams loved me. But sometimes a man can love you and still be too weak to protect you from the people who gave birth to him.
When Adams took me to meet his parents, I was nervous. Their house was in a quiet estate in Lekki, with a black gate, flowers by the walkway, and security men who greeted like they had been trained in a bank. Inside the sitting room, everything looked expensive but cold. The chairs were large, the curtains were heavy. The family pictures on the wall showed people who looked like they had never lacked anything in their lives. Then Mama Rosaline entered. She was tall, fair, and elegant in a way that made younger women adjust their wrappers unconsciously. Her lace blouse was neat. Her gold earrings were small but costly. She carried herself like a woman who led prayers in church and controlled decisions at home.
"Mommy, this is Winifred."
I bent down slightly. "Good afternoon, Ma." Mama Rosaline looked at me. For a few seconds, she did not answer. Her eyes moved from my face to my hands, then back to my face again. I thought maybe she was judging my clothes. Then her smile came slowly. "Welcome, my daughter." But the way she said "my daughter" did not sound warm. It sounded careful. Chief Victor Okafo, Adam's father, came out later. He was a big man with a deep voice and the kind of stomach that told you life had been kind to him. He was respected in church, respected in the estate, respected by people who called him chief even when they were older than him. When Adams introduced me, Chief Victor looked at me for a moment before turning to his son. "Is this the girl?" "Yes, Daddy." Chief Victor nodded. That was all. Just, I told myself it did not matter. Many rich parents were like that. They needed time. But Mama Rosaline kept looking at me.
That day, she asked me where I was from. I told her I grew up in Enugu, but my late mother was from Abia. She asked my mother's name. I said
Grace.
Grace.
The glass cup in her hand slipped. It did not fall, but it shook enough for the water to spill on her wrapper. Adams quickly said, "Mommy, are you okay?" Mama Rosaline smiled too fast. "I'm fine, the glass was wet." But the glass was not wet. I saw her hand. It was shaking. Chief Victor looked at her sharply. A small silence entered the room. Then Mama Rosaline stood up and said, "Let me check something in the kitchen." That was the first time I felt that something about me had entered that house before I did. But I ignored it. Love can make a woman explain away danger. I told myself maybe she once knew someone called Grace. After all, Grace was not a rare name. Adams proposed 8 months later. His family did not openly reject me, but they did not celebrate me either. Mama Rosaline smiled in front of guests and became cold behind closed doors. Chief Victor gave Adams money for the wedding, but warned him not to make a poor decision in the name of pity. I heard that one myself. I was passing the corridor when Chief Victor said it. Adams replied, "Daddy, I love her." Chief Victor said, "Love is not enough to build a family name." I stood there with my heart beating in my throat. That night, Adams begged me not to cry. "Don't mind Daddy," he said. "He talks like that, but he will come around." I wanted to believe him, so I did. Our wedding was beautiful. People danced, women sprayed money. Pastor Matthew preached about love, patience, and leaving father and mother to become one flesh. Mama Rosaline wore blue lace and smiled in pictures. Chief Victor sat in front like a king watching his kingdom expand. Everybody said I was lucky. They said, "Winifred, you entered a good family." They said, "You married into respect." They said, "Your mother's spirit will be happy." I smiled, but deep inside, I wished my mother had been there. Maybe if she had seen the Okafo family, she would have told me something. Maybe her eyes would have recognized what mine could not see. After the wedding, Adams and I moved into the boys' quarters behind their parents' main house. It was supposed to be temporary, just until Adams completed payment on our own apartment in Ajah. But temporary things can become traps when family is involved. Mama Rosaline said, "It is better you people stay close first. Winifred needs to learn how this family does things." I did not argue. As a new wife, I wanted peace. Every morning I woke up before 6. I swept, I greeted, I helped in the kitchen. I learned where Mama kept the spices, how Chief liked his tea, how Adams preferred his shirts ironed, even though he never asked me to do it. I wanted them to see that I was not lazy. I wanted them to see that even though I came from a small background, I was well trained. But the more I tried, the more Mama Rosaline watched me like she was waiting for something to happen. The first soup incident happened 3 weeks after the wedding. It was a Saturday. Adams had invited 2 of his friends for lunch, and I wanted to impress everybody. So I decided to cook my mother's oha soup. I went to the market early. I bought fresh oha leaves, uziza, dried fish, stock fish, goat meat, crayfish, and yellow pepper. As I washed the leaves, my heart felt somehow peaceful. It was the first time since the wedding that I felt my mother close to me. I could almost hear her voice. "Don't cut the oha with knife, Winifred. Tear it with your hands. Soup knows when you rush it." I smiled as I cooked. The aroma filled the backyard kitchen first, then moved into the main house. I was stirring the pots when I heard a sound behind me. I turned. Mama Rosaline was standing at the kitchen entrance. Her eyes were wide. Her face had changed. "Mama, good afternoon," I said. She did not answer. She stepped closer slowly.
What are you cooking?
Oha soup, ma.
With uziza
Yes, ma.
and dried fish?
Yes, ma. Her lips opened slightly, but no words came out. Then her eyes filled with tears. I became confused. Mama, did I do something wrong? She shook her head. One tear dropped, then another. Before I could say anything else, she turned and walked away. I stood there holding the turning stick like a child who had broken something expensive. When Adams came in later, I told him. He sighed. Don't worry, Mama is emotional sometimes. Emotional over soup? He laughed softly, but the laugh did not feel real. Maybe the smell reminded her of something. What thing? He kissed my forehead. Winnie, please, don't start worrying yourself. You know my mother can behave somehow. I wanted to ask more, but his friends arrived, so I kept quiet. At the dining table, Mama Rosaline did not eat. She sat with us, smiled at Adam's friends, asked about their jobs, and praised my cooking with her mouth. But her plate remained untouched. Chief Victor ate only 3 spoons, then pushed his plate away. Too much uziza, he said. But Adam's friends were sweating and praising the soup. One of them said, Madam, this soup is serious. Adams, you are enjoying. I smiled shyly. But when I looked at Mama Rosaline, she was staring at me, not like a woman watching her daughter-in-law, like a woman watching the past sit at her table. That night, I asked Adams again, did your mother know someone who used to cook like this? Adams paused while removing his wristwatch. Why are you asking? Because of how she reacted. He placed the watch on the table. Winnie, leave Mama. She has her reasons. That was the first time he said those words. Leave Mama. She has her reasons. I did not know then that those words would become the wall everybody used to block me from the truth. The second time Mama Rosaline cried, it was during a family gathering. Auntie Anita had come from Port Harcourt. She was Mama Rosaline's younger sister, but she carried herself like she was older than everybody. She spoke loudly, she laughed loudly, she corrected people even when nobody asked her. From the first day she met me, I knew she did not like me. So, this is Adam's wife, she asked, looking me up and down. Yes, Auntie, Adam said. She is fat. I smiled politely. Auntie Anita looked at my stomach. Don't worry, marriage will reduce flesh when children start coming. Everybody laughed. I smiled too, even though something inside me folded. That afternoon, Mama Rosaline asked me to prepare a soup because some church elders were coming later. I wanted to cook egusi, but Adams whispered, cook that your oha soup. My friend has been talking about it since last time. So I cooked it again. The moment Auntie Anita entered the kitchen and smelt it, she stopped. Her eyes narrowed.
Who taught you how to cook this soup? My mother, Ma. What was your mother's name? Grace.
The knife in her hand hit the floor. Mama Rosaline, who had just entered behind her, held the door frame. I looked from one woman to the other. Is everything okay? Auntie Anita bent down slowly and picked up the knife. Nothing. Your soup smells strong. But her voice had lost its confidence. Mama Rosaline turned and left. Later, while we served the food, Mama Rosaline began to cry again. This time, she did not leave quietly. She covered her mouth with her hand and rushed out of the dining room. The church elders became uncomfortable. Pastor Matthew, who had come with them, asked, Sister Rosaline, is all well? Chief Victor smiled with force. She is fine. Women and their emotions. Auntie Anita looked at me like I had committed an offense. After the guests left, she cornered me near the backyard. Young woman, she said, must you always cook that particular soup? I blinked. Auntie, there are many soups in Nigeria. Egusi, okra, vegetable, ogbono. Why must it be that one? I didn't know it was a problem. Her face hardened. Now you know. I wanted to respond, but Mama Rosaline came out and called her name sharply. Anita! Auntie Anita kept quiet, but before she walked away, she looked at my stomach again. Some things should not be invited into a family twice. I did not understand. Twice? What did she mean by twice? That night, I asked Adams if his mother and aunt had a problem with my late mother. He became quiet. Why would they have a problem with your mother? I don't know. That's why I'm asking. He sat on the bed and rubbed his forehead. Please, Winnie, my family is not perfect, but don't start creating stories in your mind. I am not creating stories. Your mother cries whenever I cook my mother's soup. He looked tired, then stopped cooking it. His answer hurt me more than I expected. Stop cooking the only soup that makes me feel close to my dead mother? He looked at me, and guilt entered his eyes. That is not what I mean. Then what do you mean, Adams? He held my hand. I mean, let peace reign. In that house, peace always meant my silence. So I stopped cooking Oha soup for some weeks. I cooked rice, I cooked stew, I cooked beans, I cooked okra. I cooked everything except the soup my mother taught me. Mama Rosaline became calmer. Auntie Anita stopped watching me so much. Chief Victor returned to pretending I did not exist. For a while, I thought maybe I had solved the problem. Then, I became pregnant. Adams was the first person I told. I had bought the test kit secretly and checked it early in the morning. When I saw the 2 lines, my hands began to shake. Not with fear, with joy. I knelt down in the bathroom and cried, God, thank you. When I told Adams, he lifted me and turned me around like a young boy. My God, Winnie, are you serious? I laughed and cried at the same time. I'm serious. That day, Adams bought flowers, baby clothes, and a small teddy bear. He was so happy that even Chief Victor smiled when he heard the news. Mama Rosaline hugged me, but her hug was stiff. Congratulations, she said. Auntie Anita, who was visiting again, clapped her hands. Good, at least the family line will continue. Then she added, God will make it a boy. I smiled because I did not want trouble. But inside me, I did not care whether it was a boy or a girl. I just wanted my child to live. For 2 months, I was careful. I ate well. I prayed. I avoided stress. Adams treated me like glass. He bought fruits, followed me to the hospital, and warned his mother not to give me too much housework. For the first time, I felt like maybe I was finally becoming part of the family. Then one evening, I started bleeding. At first it was small, then the pain came. Adams rushed me to the hospital.
Winnie, hold on. I'm taking you to the hospital.
By morning, the doctor said the words I did not want to hear. I'm sorry, the pregnancy did not continue. I stared at him. What do you mean, did not continue? Adams held my shoulder. The doctor's mouth kept moving, but I could not hear anything again. My baby was gone. When we returned home, Mama Rosaline cried, but this time, everybody understood why. Or so I thought. She held me and said, "Take heart." But when her hand touched my stomach, she withdrew it quickly, as if something had burned her. I noticed, but I was too broken to ask. After my first miscarriage, people were kind. After the second, they became worried. After the third, they became cruel. The second pregnancy lasted almost 3 months. The third one ended before I even had time to tell many people. By then, whispers had started. The compound women began to look at me with pity that had insult inside it. One neighbor, Mama Nkem, an elderly woman who lived 2 houses away, saw me one morning by the gate and said, "My daughter, are you Grace's child?" My heart jumped. I turned slowly. "Ma?" She looked at my face closely. "Your mother, was her name Grace?" "Yes, ma. Did you know her?" Her mouth opened, then closed. Her eyes moved toward the Okafo house. "Ma, please, did you know my mother?" She held my hand. "Not now." "Why?" Her voice dropped. "Some houses have ears." Before I could ask more, her grandson called her from across the street. She left me standing by the gate, my heart beating fast. That evening, I told Adams. He frowned.
Mama Nkem said she knew my mother. Mama Nkem knows everybody. No, she asked if I was Grace's child. Adams became quiet. Did you tell my mother? No. Don't tell her yet. I looked at him. Why? He hesitated. I just don't want unnecessary drama. That was when I began to suspect my husband knew more than he was saying. Not the whole truth, but something. Maybe a rumor, maybe a warning, maybe a fear he himself did not understand. The next Sunday, Pastor Matthew preached about patience. He said some delays were tests from God. After service, Mama Rosaline took me to the women's fellowship room and asked the older women to pray for me. At first, I was grateful. Then the prayers changed. One woman placed her hand on my stomach and shouted, "Every power blocking this womb, catch fire." Another said, "Any strange bloodline following this woman, break." Strange bloodline. Those words entered my ear like a needle. I opened my eyes and saw Mama Rosaline watching me. Not praying, watching. When our eyes met, she quickly closed her eyes and shouted, "Amen." But it was too late. I had seen the fear. After church, Auntie Anita followed us home. At lunch, she said loudly, "Adams, you are the only son. Don't let love blind you until age passes you." Adams dropped his spoon. "Auntie, please. I am only saying the truth. In our culture, a man must have children. If one road is blocked, he must look for another road." I felt my throat tightened. Mama Rosaline said softly, "Anita, enough." But she did not defend me. Chief Victor cleared his throat. "Adams knows what is expected of him." I looked at my husband. He was staring at his plate. I waited for him to speak. He did not. That silence broke something in me. After lunch, I entered the kitchen and cried quietly while washing plates. Then, without planning it, I brought out the oha leaves I had hidden in the freezer. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I wanted to feel my mother again. Maybe I wanted to remind myself that before I became a wife they pitied, I was somebody's daughter. So I cooked the soup. I cooked it slowly, with dried fish, with uziza, with oha leaves torn by hand. The aroma rose from the pot and filled the kitchen like memory. Within minutes, Mama Rosaline appeared at the door. Her wrapper was tied loosely. Her face had gone pale. "No," she whispered. I turned. "Mama?" She stepped back. "No, not again." My chest tightened. "What did I do wrong?" She held her head. "Why must you cook like her?" The kitchen became silent. I stared at her. "Like who?" Mama Rosaline froze. Behind her, Auntie Anita appeared. "Rosaline," she warned. Mama Rosaline looked like a woman waking from a trance. I dropped the turning stick. "Mama, like who?" Auntie Anita entered quickly. "Like nobody. Your mother-in-law is tired." But I was no longer afraid. "No, Auntie, she said I cook like somebody. Who is the person?" Mama Rosaline's eyes filled with tears again. Then she whispered one name, so softly I almost did not hear it.
Rosaline!
My whole body became cold. Auntie Anita grabbed her arm.
but the name had already entered the room. Grace, my mother's name. I looked at Mama Rosaline. You knew my mother? Nobody answered. The soup kept boiling. The smell filled the kitchen, and for the first time, I understood that Mama Rosaline's tears were not about my cooking. They were about my blood.
I stood in that kitchen, staring at Mama Rosaline like I had just heard a dead woman call my name. Grace, I whispered. Mama Rosaline's lips trembled. Auntie Anita tightened her grip on her sister's arm and forced a laugh that sounded like dry leaves. Which Grace? There are many Graces in this world. I looked at her. Auntie, I did not ask you. Mama was the one who called the name. Auntie Anita's face changed. In that house, I had never spoken to her like that before. I was always the respectful wife, the one who bent down, the one who said yes, ma, even when insult was entering her ear. But that afternoon, something had shifted inside me. Maybe pain can make a quiet woman grow teeth. Mama Rosaline stepped back from the kitchen door. I am tired, she said weakly. I need to rest. I moved towards her. Mama, please, did you know my mother? She did not answer. Her eyes were filled with tears, but this time I did not feel pity. I felt anger. Because for months, this woman had cried over my soup, watched me suffer miscarriages, listened while people called my womb weak, and still kept quiet. Mama, I said again, did you know Grace? Auntie Anita stood between us. Enough of this nonsense. Your mother-in-law is not feeling well. I looked at her sharply. Then why is she only not feeling well when I cook my mother's soup? The kitchen went silent. Even the boiling pot seemed to reduce its noise. Auntie Anita's eyes narrowed. You are becoming too forward. No, Auntie, I am becoming tired. She lifted one finger at me. Be careful, Winifred. You entered this house as a wife. Don't forget yourself. I laughed, but there was no joy inside the laugh. How can I forget myself when nobody in this house allows me to be at peace? Mama Rosaline covered her face and began to cry again. Auntie Anita pulled her away.
As they left the kitchen, I heard Auntie Anita whispered, I warned you. I told you this thing would not stay buried. This thing. Again. Everybody kept calling something this thing. But nobody wanted to give it a name. That night, Adams came home late. I was sitting on the bed waiting for him. The room was dark except for the small yellow light from the bedside lamp. My eyes were swollen because I had cried, but my heart was no longer soft. It had become restless. Adams entered quietly and removed his shoes. You are still awake? I did not answer immediately. He looked at me and sighed. My mother told me there was a small misunderstanding in the kitchen. I smiled bitterly. Small misunderstanding? Winnie, your mother called my mother's name. He stopped. For a moment, his hand froze on the button of his shirt. Then he looked away. I saw it. That small movement. That 1 second of fear. Adams, I said slowly, what do you know? He turned back to me. What do you mean? Don't insult me by pretending. Your mother said Grace. Auntie Anita panicked. Maman Kem asked if I was Grace's child. You told me not to tell your mother, so I am asking you now, what do you know?
Adams sat on the edge of the bed. I don't know anything serious. Anything serious. He rubbed his face. I only heard some stories when I was young. What stories? He was silent. Adams, what stories? He looked at me with tired eyes. Winnie, please, this family had issues before we were born. Every family has something they don't talk about. My mother is not something, Adams. I know. No, you don't know. You have a father, you have a mother, you have family pictures on the wall. You have people who can tell you where you came from. Me, I only had one woman who suffered, raised me alone, and died with secrets in her chest. So if your family knows something about her, I deserve to know. His eyes softened. I swear, I don't know the full story. Then tell me the small one you know. He looked toward the door, as if the walls could report him. When I was younger, I once heard my parents quarreling. My mother mentioned the name Grace. My father became very angry. He told her never to mention that name in his house again. My heart began to beat faster. What else?
I heard Auntie Anita say the girl was gone and would never return. I didn't understand. I was young. The girl? Yes. What girl? I don't know. I stood up. You don't know or you don't want to know. He stood too. Winnie, please don't turn this against me. I am not turning anything against you. I am trying to understand why your family behaves like my mother offended them. Adams held my shoulders. Listen to me. Whatever happened, it was before us. It has nothing to do with our marriage. I looked into his eyes. How are you sure? He did not answer. That silence became heavier than a confession.
The next morning, Mama Rosaline did not come out for breakfast. Chief Victor sat at the dining table reading the newspaper, acting like nothing had happened. Auntie Anita was still around, drinking tea as if the house belonged to her. I served Adams first, then Chief Victor. When I placed his plate before him, he did not look at me. "Where's your mother?" he asked Adams. "She said she's not hungry." Chief Victor folded his newspaper. Women always allow emotions to control them. Auntie Anita gave him a sharp look. "Victor, don't start." He looked at her. "Don't tell me what to start in my own house." The tension between them was quick, but I caught it. They knew something, all of them. Chief Victor looked at me for the first time that morning. "And you, young woman, I heard you raising your voice yesterday." I swallowed. "I was asking questions, sir. In this family, questions must have respect. With due respect, sir, silence has not helped me either." Adams coughed softly. "Winnie." But I could not stop. I was tired of shrinking. I was tired of being blamed for miscarriages, watched like a stranger, and treated like a problem that came without explanation. I looked at Chief Victor and said, "Sir, did you know my mother?" His face hardened. The dining room became still. Auntie Anita slowly dropped her cup. Chief Victor's eyes did not leave mine. "What is your mother's name?" "Grace." He looked away. It was only for a second, but that second told me more than all their lies. "Many women are called Grace," he said. "That is what Auntie Anita said too." Auntie Anita snapped, "Because it is true."
I turned to her. "Then why is everybody afraid of the name?" Chief Victor hit his hand on the table. "Enough!" The plate shook. For the first time since I entered that family, I saw Adams flinch like a child. Chief Victor stood up slowly. "I don't know who has been filling your head with nonsense, but let me warn you. This is a respected family. We both dragged dead people into our dining room." I looked at him. "My mother was not dead to be dragged, sir." His eyes became dangerous. Adams quickly stood. "Daddy, please." Chief Victor ignored him. "Young woman, your problem is not this family. Your problem is your womb. Face that one and stop looking for who to blame." The words hit me harder than a slap. For a moment, I could not breathe. Adam shouted, "Daddy!" But it was too late. Something had broken. I looked at Chief Victor, then at Auntie Anita, then toward the hallway where Mama Rosaline's room was. Nobody defended me in time. Nobody protected my pain before it was stepped on. So I removed my apron slowly and placed it on the dining chair. Then I walked out. Adams followed me to our room. "Winnie, I'm sorry. My father should not have said that." I laughed through tears. "But he said it. I know. And you heard him." I challenged him. After he finished breaking me, Adams held my hand, but I pulled away. "Winnie, no. I need air." I left the room before he could stop me. I did not know where I was going until I found myself standing in front of Mama Nkem's gate. She was outside, sitting under a small mango tree, sorting bitter leaves into a tree. When she saw me, her hand stopped moving. "My daughter." I stepped into her compound. "Mama, please, I need to ask you something." She looked towards the Okafo house. Then she looked back at me. "Sit down." I sat on the wooden bench beside her. For a while, she said nothing.
Only the sound of children playing somewhere down the street filled the silence. Then she asked, "What happened?" I did not even know when tears started falling. "Mama, did you know my mother?" She sighed deeply. "Yes." My heart shook. "You knew Grace?" "Yes, my daughter. I knew her." I pressed my hands together. "Please tell me." "Nobody wants to talk. Mama Rosaline cries whenever I cook my mother's soup. Auntie Anita becomes angry. Chief Victor looks like he wants to bury me with his eyes. Please, what happened?" Mama Nkem looked tired. Not physically, spiritually. Like someone who had carried a secret for too many years.
Your mother, Grace, she was not a stranger to that family.
"Your mother was a good girl," she said softly. "Very good girl. Quiet, hardworking, respectful." I held my breath. She walked in that house many years ago. I turned slowly towards the Okafo mansion. "My mother walked there?" Mama Nkem nodded. "In Chief Victor's house, before Adams became a man, before you were born." The world around me seemed to shift. My mother had walked in my husband's family house, and nobody told me. Not Adams, not Mama Rosaline, not Chief Victor. Nobody. "What kind of work?" I asked. "House help." But she was not treated like ordinary help at first. She could cook very well. Everybody loved her food, especially her oha soup. My throat closed.
Oha soup, dried fish, uziza, oha leaves. The smell that made Mama Rosaline cry. Mama Nkem continued. "Your mother had a peaceful spirit. But beauty and peace can become trouble in a house where the man has no discipline and the woman has too much pride." I looked at her. "What do you mean?" She shook her head. "I cannot say everything yet." "Mama, please." "My daughter, some truth does not enter the ear quietly. It breaks things. Things are already broken." She looked at me with pity. "Does Adams know you came here?" "No." "Good. Why?" "Because if they know I spoke to you, they will come for me." "Who?" She looked toward the Okafo house again. "People who have protected one lie for many years will not suddenly become gentle because the truth is knocking." Fear crawled over my skin. "Mama, was my mother accused of something?" Mama Nkem's eyes changed. "Who told you that?" "Nobody. I don't know. The way Chief Victor talks about dead people, the way Auntie Anita behaves, it feels like they are hiding shame." Mama Nkem looked down at the bitter leaves in her tree. "Your mother did not leave that house well." "What happened?" "She was disgraced." My heart dropped. "Disgraced how?" "They said she stole." I stood up immediately. "My mother?" Mama Nkem held my hand and pulled me back gently. "Sit down. My mother was not a thief." "I know." "Then why would they say that?" Mama Nkem's eyes filled with sadness. "Because sometimes, when the powerful want to remove the innocent, they give them a dirty name first." I covered my mouth. "My mother, Grace, the woman who taught me to pray before eating, the woman who returned extra change to market women, the woman who would rather sleep hungry than take what was not hers. They called her a thief." "Mama, who accused her?" She did not answer quickly. Then she whispered, "That house." My chest began to rise and fall quickly. "Chief Victor?" Mama Nkem looked away. "Mama Rosaline?" Still no answer. "Auntie Anita?" She closed her eyes. That was enough. I understood. A cold anger entered me. What did they say she stole? Jewelry, money, some family gold. Did they find it with her? No. Then how did people believe them? Mama Nkem gave a sad smile. "My daughter, poor people don't need evidence before rich people condemn them." I cried. Not loudly, just slow, hot tears.
So that is why my mother never told me anything. Mama Nkem touched my back. She carried shame that was not hers. I wiped my face. Is that why Mama Rosaline cries? Because she lied against my mother? Mama Nkem did not answer. Mama? She leaned closer. Go and look for what your mother left behind. My mother left nothing, only some clothes and her old Bible. Check again. What am I looking for? Anything with dates, names, letters, hospital papers, anything she hid. I frowned. My mother's things are in my old box at my cousin's place. Go there. Why? Mama Nkem looked at me deeply. Because your mother did not suffer only because of stolen jewelry. My heart stopped. What else? Mama Nkem's voice dropped. She was pregnant when they chased her away. For a moment, I heard nothing. Not the children, not the cars, not even my own breathing. She was pregnant, I whispered. Mama Nkem nodded. With me? She did not answer directly, but her silence was enough. My hand started shaking. Mama, who was responsible? Mama Nkem looked away.
My daughter, not here. Some houses have ears.
No, not from my mouth, not yet. Please. No, my daughter. If I say it without proof, they will call me a bitter old woman. Find proof first. What proof? In that house, old secrets were written down by the one who could not sleep. I stared at her. Who? She looked toward Mama Rosaline's window. Then she returned to sorting bitter leaves like she had said nothing.
I left Mama Nkem's compound with my legs weak and my head full of voices. My mother walked in the Okafo house. My mother cooked the same soup. My mother was accused of stealing. My mother was chased away pregnant. And Mama Rosaline had been crying because the smell of my soup was dragging her back to a sin she refused to confess. When I returned home, Adams was waiting near the gate. Where did you go? I looked at him. To breathe. He searched my face. You went to Mama Nkem. I did not answer. His face tightened. Winnie, I told you not to start digging into things you don't understand. That sentence entered me like betrayal. I stepped closer to him. Why are you afraid of me digging? I'm not afraid. Then why are you warning me? Because this family is complicated. No, Adams, this family is guilty. He looked hurt. You are judging without knowing everything. And you are defending without asking anything. He swallowed. I am trying to protect us. From what? The truth? He held my arm gently. From pain. I looked at his hand on my arm. Adams, pain is already living with us. He slowly released me. That night, I called my mother's cousin in Yaba and told her I needed to come for my old box. She asked if everything was okay. I said yes.
Yes, Auntie.
It was a lie.
Okay.
Nothing was okay.
The next day, I left early before Mama Rosaline came out of her room. I told Adams I was going to the market. It was not completely a lie because I entered the market first, bought tomatoes and pepper, and then took a bus to Yaba. My mother's cousin, Auntie Ngozi, was happy to see me, but worried by my face. You look thin, Winnie. Are they feeding you in that rich man's house? I forced a smile. I'm fine, Auntie. She brought out the old box from under the staircase. It was dusty and smelled of old clothes, camphor, and memory. When I opened it, my mother came back to me in pieces. Her faded wrappers, her church scarf, her small black Bible, an old purse, a plastic bag filled with hospital cards. I sat on the floor and searched everything. At first, I found nothing important. Then, inside the back cover of her Bible, I saw something folded neatly. It was an old photograph.
My mother was younger in the picture, very beautiful, slim. Her hair was braided. She was standing in front of a large black gate. I knew that gate. My hands became cold. It was the Okafo house. Beside her in the picture was a younger Mama Roseline, and beside Mama Roseline was Auntie Anita. They were all smiling. At the back of the photograph, something was written. Grace's first Christmas with us, Okafo house. My vision blurred. So they knew her, not casually, not from far. My mother had lived with them. I continued searching.
Inside the plastic bag of hospital papers, I found an old antenatal card. The paper had turned yellow and some parts were faded, but I could still read my mother's name. Grace Nwanko. Pregnancy 14 weeks. Year many years ago. I touched the paper with trembling fingers. Then I saw something written on their next of kin. The name was scratched out, but not completely. Only one word remained visible. Victor. I stopped breathing. Victor. Chief Victor? No. No, it could not be. I folded the paper quickly and put it in my handbag before my mind could collapse. Auntie Ngozi came in with malt and biscuits. Did you find what you were looking for? I looked up at her. Auntie, did my mother ever tell you who my father was? Her face changed. That was the thing about secrets. Even before people opened their mouths, their faces confessed first. Winnie, please don't lie to me.
She sat down slowly. Your mother did not tell me clearly, but she told you something. Auntie Ngozi looked at the door, then back at me. She only said your father was a man who had a house but no home. I frowned. What does that mean? She said he was respected outside but dangerous inside. My eyes filled with tears. Was his name Victor? She did not mention name to me. Your mother begged me not to ask. She said if the truth came out, people would only call her names again. Again? Auntie Ngozi covered her face. She suffered, Winnie. Your mother suffered. I sat back down. Tell me. She shook her head. I don't know everything. Tell me the one you know. Auntie Ngozi wiped her eyes. When Grace came to me, she was pregnant and very sick. She had no shoes. Her clothes were dirty. She was crying. She said they accused her of stealing and chased her out. But what frightened me was not the stealing accusation.
What frightened you? She was bleeding. My body became still. She said they gave her something to drink. My voice came out as a whisper. What thing? Herbs. The room spun around me. Auntie Ngozi continued. She said 2 people held her down and forced bitter herbs into her mouth. She said they told her that no bastard would grow in their family's shadow. I covered my mouth to stop myself from screaming. My mother, pregnant with me, held down, forced to drink herbs. No wonder my life had always felt like survival from the beginning. Auntie Ngozi held my hand. She did not lose the pregnancy. You survived. What after that day? Your mother was never the same. She said the child in her womb refused to die because God had something to prove. I began to cry. Not softly. This time the cry came from a place I did not know was inside me. A place where my mother's pain had been waiting for my own tears to join it. When I returned to the Okafo house that evening, I was no longer the same woman who left in the morning. I carried my handbag like it contained fire.
Inside it were the photograph, the antenatal card, and the first real pieces of my mother's story. Adams met me in the room. You were gone for long. I looked at him. I found something. His face became tense. What? I brought out the photograph first. He took it. His eyes widened. Is that my mother? And Auntie Anita? He looked at the younger woman in the picture. Is that your mother? Yes. He sat down slowly.
My God. You said you didn't know anything serious. I didn't know this. I brought out the antenatal card. His hand shook when he collected it. He read my mother's name. Then his eyes moved to the next of kin section. Victor. His face lost color. Winnie, is your father the only Victor in that house? He stood up quickly. No, this doesn't prove anything. No surname. I laughed bitterly. I knew you would say that. No, listen to me. Victor is a common name. I learned we once had a gate man named Victor. So you see, Victor could be anyone. So is Grace, according to your family. He closed his eyes. Please. Please what, Adams? Please don't ask. Please don't know. Please allow your family to continue burying my mother. He opened his eyes and they were wet. I am scared. That stopped me. Adam sat on the bed and held his head. I don't know why, but I am scared of where this thing is going. For the first time, I saw my husband not as the son of the people who hurt my mother, but as another person standing in the dark with me. He looked up at me. Winnie, what if the truth destroys us? I whispered. Then maybe we were already standing on something destroyed.
Neither of us slept well that night. Around midnight, I woke up and realized Adams was not beside me. I heard voices from the main house, soft, angry, desperate. I got up quietly and opened our door. The compound was dark, except for the light coming from Chief Victor's study. I moved closer. The window was slightly open. Inside, Chief Victor's voice was low but furious. I told you people years ago to make sure nothing remained. Mama Rosaline was crying. She is Grace's daughter. I know it. The way she cooks, the way she looks at me, the way she asked me. Auntie Anita cut in. Crying will not solve anything. You are the one exposing us with your tears. Chief Victor said, this is why women cannot carry secrets properly. Mama Rosaline's voice broke. You carried your own sin into this house and left me to live with the ghost. My heart pounded. Chief Victor slammed something on the table. Lower your voice. Auntie Anita said, what matters now is stopping that girl from digging further. If she finds the diary, shut up. Mama Rosaline hissed. The room went silent. Diary. My breath caught. There was a diary. Mama Nkem's words returned to me. In that house, old secrets were written down by the one who could not sleep. Mama Rosaline. A diary. Chief Victor spoke again, colder this time. That diary should have been burned. Mama Rosaline whispered. I tried. Auntie Anita snapped. Then try again. I stepped back slowly, but my foot touched a metal bucket. It made a small sound. The voices inside stopped. I ran back to our room before anybody could open the door. My hands were shaking. My chest was tight. And for the first time since the mystery began, I knew exactly what I had to find. Mama Rosaline's old diary. The next morning, I acted normal. I greeted Mama Rosaline. Good morning, Ma. She looked at me with red eyes. Morning. I greeted Chief Victor. Good morning, sir. He studied my face like he was looking for evidence of what I had heard. I smiled. He did not. Auntie Anita watched me throughout breakfast. I served tea. I cleared plates. I moved like the obedient wife they thought they had silenced. But inside me, a plan was forming. I needed the diary. I waited until afternoon when Mama Rosaline left for Women's Fellowship and Chief Victor went to the club. Auntie Anita was sleeping in the guest room. Adams had gone to work. The house was quiet. My heart beat so loudly, I thought the walls would hear it. I entered Mama Rosaline's room for the first time without permission. The room smelled of perfume, powder, and old fear.